welcome to Snakes and Adders. This is the second part in our Stressing Reptiles videos, and this is solely concerning itself with what's going on inside the box. How we control it, how we manipulate it, the way that we design it, the way that we think about it, the application of forethought and research prior to setting up an animal in a tank. We discussed the other day how stress activates the adrenal gland, can ulcerate the belly, cause all sorts of problems, change our animal's personality. So we're going to just run through some examples of what we're going to do. So temperature, first off and foremost. It is absolutely imperative and non-optional that you use a reliable thermostatic control to be able to look after the environment that your animal is in. You play God, you control every part of this vivarium, including the heat regulation and temperature gradient within that tank. So if an animal gets too hot, what are the downsides? What are the stresses, the environmental stresses that can affect your animal? Well, dehydration for a start. Also, we can lead to constipation. So we can get the uric acids really hardening and crystallizing into impassable boluses inside the snake or the reptile, and it just doesn't want to come out, and there's some major problem. The other problem is bad sheds. Bad sheds are a nightmare, particularly with snakes, especially if it's around their eyes and the eye caps start to build up. This can lead to real issues. So it's really important that we respect the area that the animal is from. That gives us parameters for temperatures that we're going to keep the animal at, and you must respect that. This isn't rocket science, and a lot of these videos, when it comes to stress, are actually common sense. It's just nobody actually stops to think about the application of these different factors to try and reduce stress as much as possible. Another factor is security. An animal must feel secure and must feel safe. So therefore we need to have hides. Now, what we usually say is that we're going to have a hide at the warm end, a hide at the cold end. If your animal has to choose between security and temperature, it will choose security. The issue you've got there is we are either then going to cook them because they're permanently at the hot end, or we're going to freeze them because they're permanently at the cool end. And what we need to be able to do is have an animal that feels safe enough to migrate through its tank to thermoregulate in safety without feeling insecure. Insecurity can lead to aggression, can lead to a lack of appetite. Therefore, the knock-on effects become compounded. Also, we've got animals that struggle with glass barriers, visual. They don't see it, they just want to go straight through it. The classic example of this is a Chinese water dragon. Chinese water dragons, when they're scared, will immediately run and try and dive through the glass because they don't see it. They are an absolute nightmare and well known for it, and what they will do is they will rub and rub and rub on their snout until there's no snout left. And it's commonplace to see adult Chinese water dragons with no upper or lower lip, and it's actually the bone has been worn away to the front teeth, so they look like a little vampire with their teeth hung out. And it's a shame because water dragons are absolutely stunning lizards, but it's just a feature of their care. So when you're going to set up a Chinese water dragon, you make sure that they have a pit, a deep recess in the bottom of the viv, where if they feel insecure and they take to the ground, they're then below glass level, and they're not going to immediately be able to get up a head of steam and try and sprint through the glass. A lot of people have drop water sources, so things like the roughneck monitors, sailfin dragons, they will actually drop into a pool which is made into the bottom of the vivarium, and this again is for security so that they feel safe, and it actually recreates natural habits. Another point is foliage. So we've got chameleons. These are animals that have got cryptic coloration. They are going to try and best match their surroundings, and they need the foliage to feel secure. You can't keep a chameleon in a bare viv. It's got to be well planted out so that they feel safe and secure. So this is the sort of stuff where we're really trying to make sure that our animals feel safe. Now, there's different styles of setting up tanks. You can have the naturalistic, bioactive, classically termed the European style. You can have the sterile, the boxes, the racks, the newspapers, the classic American style. And then the British are kind of usually halfway in between, where we sort of have a go, but we just use the substrates and maybe some artificial plants, and it's semi-naturalistic, if any naturalistic at all. There is no right or wrong. The amount of people on forums that get up on their high horse and become bioactive Nazis or start ripping people to shreds, it's not about that. If people in their sterile tanks have managed to make their animals feel safe, even if it's providing their corn snake with an old cornflakes box, It makes no difference as long as it can hide in it and it feels safe. There's nothing to say that that animal can't use it. They hide entire inner tubes, for God's sake, in America. So it's not all about being uber naturalistic where I need the stone collected from like the Indian desert. It's not about that. If you want to do it, cool, but don't be forcing your crap on everybody. As long as they are hitting the factors that makes an animal feel safe, that's all that matters. The other issues are going to be UV light. So if your animal is diurnal, such as your bearded dragons, frilled dragons, many of the monitor lizards, some of the skinks, you are going to be providing UV light, and that is for the metabolism of vitamin D3, created by UVB hitting the skin, creating pre-vitamin D3, and through some natural tomfoolery it ends up as new bone. It's a lot more complicated than that, but you can visit uvguide.com and that will teach you everything that you need to know. But without it, they end up with metabolic bone disease. So again, this is where we are playing God, and inside that environment we are hitting the factors that are needed to stop your animal from experiencing environmental stress. This is where you apply your common sense, you apply the knowledge that you have gained. If you walk into this blind, you deserve to trip up. You need to do your research. It's not my job to make sure that you do your research first, and it's not any other shop owner's job to make sure that you've done your research. How do you know you are not being lied to? You do not, unless you do the research first. Environmental stress is probably the primary source of problems, where people have ill-researched their animals, just banged it in a box and thought, fuck it, be right. It'll sort itself out. And that's not on. It's not cool. You're not respecting your animal, and you need to be able to get away from this environmental stress. So I hope that the videos have been useful. I know that these videos are sort of, a lot of it is common sense, but the amount of people that don't apply it is unreal. So go through these factors. Is it secure? Is it the right temperature? Is it the right size? If you keep an animal in too big a viv, at too small a size, the animal will stress and feel threatened by the size. It's wonderful and cuddly to think that everybody needs a huge viv to feel safe and warm, but you put a baby corn snake in a 4-foot viv, it will stop feeding, it potentially become aggressive, it'll hide away, and it will very rarely do well. Whereas if you raise it in a nursery box first, and then once it's a year of age, put it up into its adult viv, it will fare far better. Many keepers have come before you. It doesn't matter what you think, this is the way that we've done it, this is the way that it works, and it's pretty much industry standard. You're not being cruel, you're giving it a creche to raise it in, and then you're going to put it up into its adult viv. Go through the factors, make sure that you feel safe and secure. If unsure, consult a local reptile specialist who will gladly guide you through the steps that you need to go. And yeah, let's just make sure that our environments are as suitable as possible, within limits, for our animals. Whether that be bioactive, naturalistic or sterile, doesn't make any difference, you know. Keep watching the videos and give us a share if you liked it. Cheers.